Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brainbean here again. Competition is a good thing for just about any industry. It promotes innovation and rewards adaptation to industry trends. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 4 flagship keyboards from the biggest players in the space that are looking to take these designs and do just that. So I wanted to put together a big comparison for you guys between Logitech, Steelseries, Razer, and Corsair, and put their current flagships head to head for those of you that might be looking to make a decision. Now in this video, I wanted to try to do something a little bit different, so I'm going to be doing a very quick and dirty comparison and try to leave out a lot of the fluff because I do have full dedicated in-depth reviews for all of these keyboards, so that means we're not going to do sound tests in this video or go into the nitty-gritty details on some of these features. But if you're interested in that, I do have full-length reviews down in the description for you, so you can check those out there. So with that, today we're going to be taking a look at the Logitech G915 Lightspeed, the SteelSeries Apex Pro, the Corsair K100, and the Razer Huntsman Elite. So with that, let's check these out. Secret Lab combines best-in-class materials, a plethora of finish options, and industry-leading comfort to provide the ultimate seating experience. With models for users of all sizes and aesthetic tastes, there's sure to be a chair for any setup. Click the link in the description to find out which chair is right for you. Starting with the Huntsman Elite, this full-size keyboard is made up of a matte textured black metal top plate over a plastic case. This board is a fairly minimalistic approach to the design, sporting exposed switches and no extra buttons aside from the dedicated media keys. The Huntsman Elite has full per key RGB with Razer Synapse and has a 38 zone light bar that wraps around the entire keyboard. It also comes with a wrist rest with 20 zones of lighting as well for a whopping 58 lighting zones of underglow. Now Razer's Synapse lighting software also has the most in-game integration with lots of the most popular games right now out of the box, which also makes for a pretty cool experience. The Huntsman line features Razer's optical switches and is available in clicky and linear variations on the Elite. The keycaps on the Huntsman Elite are made of ABS plastic and they have a nice clean minimalistic font to them. Now I do think it's important to mention that with the Elite version, it does kind of lag behind the newer variations of the Huntsman like the Tournament Edition and the Mini, which have seen a lot of Razer's more enthusiast level upgrades that they've introduced, which kind of makes the Elite sort of lag behind. And I do think the Tournament Edition and the Mini are almost more appropriate keyboards to have in this comparison, which is why I'm also including them. For example, the Tournament Edition or 10 keyless version of the Huntsman has PBT keycaps stock, a standard layout, and a removable non-proprietary USB-C cable. The Huntsman Mini is the first 60% keyboard made by a gaming company and sports PBT keycaps, a standard layout, removable USB-C cable, and comes with Razer's new linear optical switch that has acoustic sound dampening built into them to make them super quiet, so they behave very similar to how Cherry MX silent switches sound. The Huntsman Elite comes in at $200, while the Tournament Edition comes in at $129.99, and the Mini is available in black or white and is between $119 to $129 depending on your switch choice. The K100 is Corsair's newest keyboard, and it's obvious that they took a lot of customer feedback into consideration when creating this board. The K100 has a super modern design to it. It still sports that brushed aluminum top plate of the K70 or K95 Platinum, but now features light bars that wrap around the sides and back of the keyboard, very similar to the Huntsman Elite. Like all keyboards in this comparison, the K100 has full RGB with Corsair's iQ software, which boasts a lot of customizability, but it can be a little bit buggy at times. The K100 also has a magnetic detachable soft leatherette wrist rest, but this one is definitely the nicest out of any gaming brand that I have tried yet. Like the Huntsman, the K100 also has proprietary optical switches. However, Corsairs are much faster with a super short 1mm actuation distance. This may be a positive or a negative for you depending on your switch preference. It's also only available in linear switches, which might put some people off as well. The K100 has PBT double shot keycaps with a much improved clean font, standard layout, dedicated media keys with volume roller, a row of 6 dedicated macro keys, USB pass-through, and the iQ control wheel, which lets you bind up to 4 functions in-game or for productivity. The new control wheel is less gimmicky than it looks and can actually be pretty helpful to have. Corsair also put what they call their Axon processor on this board, which allows it to save up to 200 onboard profiles and operate at up to 4,000 Hz polling rate. The K100 comes in at $230, but it certainly packs in the value, and this board is currently only available in a full-size version. And next up, we have the G915 Lightspeed from Logitech. Now this is the only one of the 4 that's wireless. Logitech took a different approach to their flagship keyboard, giving it a very sleek, low-profile design, and it also has a nice-looking brushed aluminum top plate very similar to the K100. It can connect via the included dongle or Bluetooth, and it does a pretty good job with either. Battery life is obviously a concern whenever you mix RGB with wireless, but the G915 has a very respectable battery, giving it 136 days use with no lights on and 96 hours at max brightness, which averages to around 12 days use at 8 hours per day. The board gets plenty bright and vibrant, showing off that RGB thanks to the low profile keys, and while G-Hub isn't the best software out there, Logitech has made some improvements to where it's much better than their previous versions. Macro keys on the left side of the board and 8 dedicated buttons at the top of the keyboard for various dedicated functions. The G915 uses Logitech's GL switch, which is a derivative of the Kaihua chocolate switch. And they offer this board in a clicky, linear, or tactile version, so there's sure to be a switch type for any preference, which I appreciate. And the G915 is available in the full-size version for $250, and there's also a newer introduced 10 keyless version for $230. And lastly, we have the Steelseries Apex Pro. Now this keyboard has a nice refined look to it with the silver aircraft grade aluminum top plate, and I think it's the cleanest looking board of the four. The Apex Pro comes with a detachable padded wrist rest that has a nice length and a good overall feel to it. It has the most minimalistic approach of the four keyboards by swapping the dedicated media keys for their OLED smart display, clickable roller, and media key, and with this you can control all kinds of stuff like adjusting your settings, media controls, and changing profiles. You can even create your own custom graphics for it too. And the Apex Pro features SteelSeries OmniPoint switches, which allows you to dynamically set the actuation point anywhere between 0.4mm to 3.6mm. Now the cool thing here is that you could set it to be an ultra fast, light, touchy switch for when you're gaming, and then set it to be a much longer travel so that you have to depress the key more to avoid mistyping when you're actually doing productivity work. It of course has full per key RGB as well, although their software doesn't quite have as many bells and whistles as the other three in this list. The Apex Pro uses ABS keycaps with a large bold font to them, and it does have a standard layout so you can always add higher quality PBT keycaps down the line. Now with this keyboard you also have the option to go with the Apex 7, which is the same keyboard just with cherry switches, so if you just want the browns, blues, or red switches and don't care about the dynamic actuation point, that's an option for you as well. The Apex Pro comes in at $200 with a 10 keyless version that's $180, while the Apex 7 with cherry switches comes in at $160. So after looking at the quick and dirty comparison, I do think that there is a person out there for each one of these four keyboards, and while they do have a lot of stuff in common, there's certainly a couple of areas where each one sort of tends to excel in. The G915 has its super reliable wireless capability and low profile design. The K100 provides a super premium feeling typing and gaming experience with its new stabilizers and new optical switches, and has the IQ control wheel. The Apex Pro has the neat OLED display and the smart controls, and the dynamic actuation point makes it a very versatile keyboard. And lastly, we have the Huntsman Elite, which has very good in-game integration with the lights, and it has 2 options of optical switches. Overall, I think if you want to go with a full-size keyboard, the K100 is going to give you the most overall premium quality, and I think you're going to get the most out of your money if you go that route. I would say the SteelSeries Apex Pro is a very close second. If they had gone with PBT keycaps and just added a little bit better stabilizers overall, I think it would have been able to compete quite a bit, but if you value the dynamic actuation point, it's still a very solid pick. But if a 10 keyless is more your thing, I would highly recommend checking out Razer's Huntsman Tournament Edition. And this board was where we started to see Razer introduce a lot of their enthusiast grade features. So we have the standard row, the removable USB-C cable, the PBT keycaps, and it's just a really good bang for the buck for a 10 keyless gaming keyboard. I would say the SteelSeries Apex Pro again comes in the second place slot for a 10 keyless keyboard. Again, you can do the dynamic actuation point, but I think a lot of the more quality features that I like to see, at least in a keyboard, are more present in the Huntsman Tournament Edition. And lastly, for an even smaller, more compact option, Razer's the only one that offers the 60% variation, but seriously, the Huntsman Mini is a great keyboard. And if you are looking at getting more into that compact form factor, it's a very solid option, especially if you want the more gaming-centric features with the software integration and all of that, opposed to something like you would get from Ducky, which is still a very premium quality compact keyboard, but doesn't offer some of that more functionality that works with your games. As for the G915, well, as the most expensive of the four, unless you specifically value wireless or you want a low profile keyboard, I think it's probably the least desirable choice out of the four for me. And look, all four of these keyboards are good flagship gaming keyboards, and ultimately, I'm just here to provide you with the knowledge you need to make the most informed decision of which one you think is going to be best for you. But if there's one of these that appeals to you most, by all means, that's the route that you should go. Well, anyways, guys, that's it for the comparison. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these keyboards is your favorite. And like I said, I do have full-length reviews in the description for you if you want to really dive into one of these keyboards in particular. You can give this video a like if you enjoyed it to show your support. And if you're new here on the channel and you made it this far into the video, I'd love to see you subscribe. So I've got a lot more videos like this coming for you in the near future. And of course, you can also follow me on Twitter at BrainBean Gaming, where I do all of my giveaway announcements as well as just general updates on the channel. But as always, guys, stay safe out there, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next one.